It's like hold music.
Yeah, that's what it is. A couple people jumped on.
Oh. Where am I sitting?
Why don't you sit right next to me?
Okay.
You're going to be up on the bow today.
Well, I meant, like, should I be on the other? Normally we're, like, on the sides.
No, just because of the wind situation.
Yeah.
I know it's a bee.
Just grab it.
Entered the situation.
Whatever. We established I'm not allergic to those.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm just getting a water. I'll be back in you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for coming on. We're just playing some hold music here while Allie gets her stuff together and more people come on. And
I like this. Maybe you should do this normally.
just so you can be late. So we're here chilling out in Fernandina Beach. If you don't recognize, I guess again, nothing recognizable. You can recognize it by the smell of the mills. It's actually not a bad smell. As one cruiser in the Anchorage put it, it's not as bad as my dog's farts. I've never smelled their dog's farts. I don't know if it's true or not. But as you can see, we're here, we're alive, we're fine. Molly's floating. She's a little bruised. We're a little bruised. The cat's here.
The cat's upset because I didn't get through our routine in time.
The cat's pissed. Yeah. He has a morning routine that he has to do. And if that morning routine isn't done just as he expects it to be, then we hear about it often and loudly.
Don't worry, bud. You'll still get it.
It's usually 2 rounds of treats.
Yeah, he gets morning boops and treats with you, and then he gets medicine, which is a dermal in his ear cream from me, and more treats. And then he gets soft food from me, which is very exciting to him. He loves the soft food. That's when he gets his favorite salmon pate. It's salmon pate time. But honestly, the last week his schedule has been, this is kind of a cool ankle. His schedule has been so wacky this last week that it shouldn't faze him at all. Because it's like,
you gonna come sit down, or you just sit there and yap in the
ankle, man.
7 people on. That's enough.
Cool.
That's good for us.
It's an awkward position to get down and not show my unmentionable.
Yeah, we've all seen them, honey. Pretty much everybody on here has seen you naked.
Oh my god. Wow, it's windy under the Dodger. Where's that?
I know, that's why I got the special, here, so people can hear you. It's like you're sitting there talking, you don't even have your mic on. Yeah, we got the little, little poofs on the end, because it is exceptionally windy. My poof fell off, god damn it.
Where'd your poof go?
Oh, fucking wind blew it off, ironically.
Yeah, I hope people are going to be able to hear us.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting back here now, so.
Well,
Those,
I have to
those
really
damn
matters.
poofs just don't sit there right on the thing. I don't get it. But, yeah, so let me, all right. If I can't find that poof, I'm going to put a
If you
sock.
stand up, it's probably like under you or something.
I'm not going to worry about it.
Or did it go underneath my thing?
No.
Here, let me look around for it.
There you go. Let's turn it into a.
It's a different
Come
kind of
subscribe to our OnlyFans channel. Oh, it's down my shirt.
video. Oh, there you go.
We should start an OnlyFans.
Oh my god.
No feet stuff. That's
Come
weird.
here for all the old shit.
That's got to be like older people doing things on there. What?
We need showers.
You need showers.
I do need a shower,
Fine.
but just keep playing. Just keep your arms down.
All right. Sorry, I'm making noise. I know. All right. Here's a bunch of people. All right. I'm gonna get on here and see what everybody's saying, and then we're gonna say a bunch of things. And that's how it works here. That's how it works here in Cockpit Coffee. Allison's gonna play us a song. I'm on Facebook for some friggin' reason. So how's everybody's Sunday anyways? It's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers.
Every mother.
All you mothers. Your videos. How come I can never find our own shit. All right. Give me an hour, I'll figure this out. Yes. Live. Not saying we're live.
Well, that's
but
not
people
good.
are here. Here, maybe you can figure out how to get it. No.
Well, that's probably a better choice because you're better at that.
I play guitar and you can do that better. So, meanwhile, it's raining here. That's
Woo, there goes my poop.
can be. Problem is the comments come on for like 5 seconds.
These poofs are not designed to stay on in the
No.
wind. That's for sure.
No,
We're just gonna forget it.
we're gonna actually chuck those,
Check
throw
them,
them
check
away
Check them.
because I'm done dealing with them. So one more thing here and then we'll go. I know. Some people are like, Jesus Christ, can't you people get your shit together? I know. I'm making noise again.
I can't even find her live on this.
I know that was my
Part
issue.
of it is your phone is his phone is starting to die a terrible death,
So dark.
and so the screen is like really, really dark. Oh, here we go. All right, yeah.
That must have been Beth. Let's play the melodica.
We did last time, didn't we? Yeah, I think I played it last week.
I know we can get that up for a second a little later. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here we are.
Mike says your audio sounds fine, no weird noise. Well, that's surprising. Even just my hair hitting, it's going to be weird, but I'll take it. I'll take it. And Bill says, yeah, we're just getting rain for 3 days. We don't need the rain, though. Well, and here we are. We're in Fernandina, which is one of our favorite places to be. And some of our favorite musical acts along the whole East Coast are here and playing. Like Sam McDonald is out there playing this weekend. And it's not too bad right now, but we've got about 3 hours of... I'm getting coffee. We have about 3 hours of not pouring rain, and we're doing Cockpit Coffee, and then we're going to have rain solid through like tomorrow morning.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be solid, but it's definitely has potential to be a lot.
And this is also a really easy place for cruisers to get some of the things that they need. Like we have a ton of wet clothes and wet towels and stuff from our journey because of everything that happened. And I really want to go in and do a load of laundry and get rid of all that wet stuff before it mildews. But we need like a 3 to 4 hour window to go to shore in this really big bay, get to shore, get the passes to be able to do the laundry and the showers, come back to where that is, do all that, and then come back to shore. And we haven't had that window since we arrived yet. Yeah.
So I'm sure everybody's like, stop boring us, don't bore us, get to the chorus. So let's talk about our trip so far. We'll start with the plan, which we know plans are kind of bullshit.
They're always fluid.
You improvise. But the plan was to take off from Port St. Lucie Tuesday afternoon-ish. head outside, and I was going to try to make Georgetown, South Carolina. So if you know anything about the Carolina coasts, it's there's in South Carolina, it's like a big, it's kind of like a bay, like an indent,
Kind of like a C
and
shape.
the on the top of that indent is the entrance to the Cape Fear River in the south of North Carolina. On the bottom of that is Georgetown, and I forgot the name. No, it's not Willoughby. Is it Willoughby?
Oh shoot! If you hadn't said that, I would have. Willis something Bay, but no, it won't come to me now.
Anyway, it's the river that goes up into Georgetown, South Carolina. So they are about a pretty fat day sail apart.
Now I'm like Winnebago.
Like what, 13 to 15 hours?
Willoughby?
Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
So we'd figured we'd stop there, then it would be a day up into Cape Fear River. We're going to stop at Tina's Pocket and kind of recover a little bit for a night, and then head up to Wrightsville Beach,
Which would have been less than a day sail.
And if you don't know, we have a slip waiting for us in Wrightsville Beach, so we can go up to Maine and do a series of shows that we have booked up there.
And see family and all that good stuff.
And well, yeah, of course. So here we are, and
this is a trip that we're not uncommon with. We've done this.
We've done this. And we're not going offshore is not an uncommon thing for us. We don't do it every day, but it's not like we haven't done overnights offshore before. So we were leaving Tuesday afternoon. There was one thing that was bothering me, and it didn't bother me enough apparently. We had I guess it was like 2 weak high pressure systems off the coast, and that was conducive for thunderstorms coming in, especially like in the afternoons. And I was worried about that. And we were that first day we were leaving, I was looking at the radar, and I was like, we got something coming up. I'm going to actually stop in Jensen Beach, and we're going to leave in the morning instead of the afternoon. And
we were more tired than we expected to be. We wound up going to shore on Tuesday and doing a bunch of things we needed to do, and we were both.
Yeah, that's so we slept, got up at like 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, I think, and hauled anchor. Made it up to, we went outside of Fort Pierce, because I figured if I'm getting up, the current's with us anyways, I'm actually going to make pretty good time going up to Fort Pierce instead of trying to go out to Port St. Lucie Inlet, which I'm not familiar with. And I know Fort Pierce is pretty easy if you get the currents right. So we went up, and it was like a 3-4 hour, and we shot right out it was great. It was a little sporty when we first got out there.
But we knew it was going to calm down. We knew that inlet had a reputation for being a little bit
the inlet, and it was a little because I think we did have a couple of storms. I think it did like chop things up a little bit. So, but we eventually got the motor off, got her sailing. Eventually got her pointed in the right direction too. So that was exciting. Whenever you're sailing and you're going in the direction you want to go in,
win-win.
You're fucking winning. So we went. My plan was, again, talking about the plan was.
No, that's a Hornet.
Oh, fuck off, dude. So our plan was to go. I was going to take like a 45-degree up and hit the Gulf Stream, and shoot up to North Carolina. Great plan. And it worked great for a little. I mean, our plan was great. We went up there, and all of a sudden, you know, we hit that Gulf Stream, and we're going 9-10 knots in a very light wind.
It was awesome.
And I'm sitting there going, you know, I could, and we had up full sail because it was a light wind. And I'm like, I'm really probably only getting like, you know, I don't know, maybe like 7-8 knots of wind. I was debating on turning the motor. I'm like, no, dude, I'm going 10 knots in this boat in a direction I want to go in. This is unprecedented.
Yeah, let it be. Let it just do its thing.
I know, and I was like, great. And eventually, and we had some problems with the autopilot. It was being finicky, and I figured that out. I had my damn
You did a great job with that.
I had my damn toolbox underneath it, and it was interfering with the magnetic resonancy of the fucking doohickey.
Its internal compass and everything.
To get scientific. Yeah. And
the metal was throwing it off.
I took that downstairs and got that straightened out, and all of a sudden we're just like, oh, this is the shit. And it was going great, as it should. Nighttime came, and so here's where things got a little funky.
I'm going to have you go forward with a story, and at some point I'm going to stop you and insert what I was experiencing in contrast to what you were dealing with. Go ahead.
Okay, do we have, can you monitor questions?
Yes, and actually, let's say real quick, hello to Dean, the official fact checker of the Sail Bums is on, and Christina is on as well and is anxious to hear the details of exactly what is missing from the boat, and we will get to that, promise.
It's not Pickles.
It's not Pickles. Pickles is absolutely fine. Nothing that keeps us from moving or being safe right now is missing from the boat, thank goodness. And Robin and Ed are on. They're just coming on. And my mother is on. Good morning, Mom. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day,
Robin. Happy Mother's Day to everybody who is on. Mom, I'll call you after Cockpit Coffee. Can't wait to talk to you. I sent her some stuff this week that she's probably amused by, and I can't wait to talk to her about it. At least I hope she was amused by it. My goal was to make her laugh, and I hope it did. What did you buy yourself buy your mom for Mother's Day? Something to make her laugh.
Well, that's good.
I bet she'd like it. Anyway, yes, continue. Happy Mother's Day to all, and here's your story for Mother's Day.
So we where was I?
It was becoming night, and things were shifting.
Night came, and
minor
key, out of tune, minor key.
Oh, that actually made me spill my coffee.
So we night came. So dramatic, and
this is a hard story to tell.
So we were doing shifts a little differently than I normally do. I was doing you call your own shift sort of thing.
What are you up to?
As I think Allison mentioned before, we were a little tired for whatever reason. And so I was like, what can you do? And at that point she said, I can do 3 hours. I'm like, that's great. You do 3 hours, I will sleep for 3 hours or try to. So yeah, no, and then it was it was my shift. I came back on after 3 hours, and I think I told you 3 hours.
Yep, and at that point it wasn't that rocky. We were in some waves, you know, and like
we weren't.
Okay.
It was dead. It was almost dead calm.
All right.
Yeah.
You're
thinking of the other one.
I'm not, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, because and you'll see why in a second. Okay. So, I started my 3 hour shift, and when I started my 3 hour shifts, I still had full sail up because we didn't have much wind, and in fact, the wind just died. And I was like, shit. I could sit here. Just drifting, I was going 4 knots because we're in the Gulf Stream. We were a cruise, you know. It's like I could have just sat there and done nothing and gone 4 knots the whole time. But I was like, no, I'm going to put the motor on. I'm going to take all this sail down. And I did. I took all the sail down, and she's down below, and I get the head sail in. I get the main sail down. I put it in the stack pack. I didn't zip the stack pack yet. I had all that. I'm like, I'll get that later.
Just the fact that you went out on deck to do that and I was down below, we normally would not do that unless it was calmer conditions.
Yeah, I think you were coming in and out, kind of just getting ready to go down and getting your stuff too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I never fell asleep.
No.
Yeah.
And so, the wind's coming from behind us now. So we were just starting my shift, and it was dark. It was pitch black, and I was looking in the distance for lightning and everything, because I knew storms were coming. So I'm being aware of that situation. I knew they were going to be coming from the east if they were going to come, so the west. So I keep looking off our port, and all of a sudden, a wind started blowing from the northwest, and it started at 20 knots. Within 90 seconds, it was up to 35 knots, and it was freezing cold. Absolutely, it felt like it. I felt like I just walked into a fucking freezer or a cooler. I was like, oh shit, I know this. I've been here. And if you know anything about the currents and north winds, because the Gulf Stream is a northerly flowing current, you have a north wind coming down on it. It stacks waves really quickly. So
it's like if you had a carpet on the floor with nothing underneath to keep it from sliding, and you push it forward and your cat is sliding towards you at the same time.
Sure. It's exactly like that. So we it hits us. The rain starts hitting us. When I say us, I mean me. She's thankfully down below. No reason for both of us to go through this. I'm at the helm. I'm getting absolutely pelted. Now, the waves hadn't started yet because the wind came up on so quick it hadn't had time to stack the waves. It's now blowing 45.
But we were still getting bounced around, but not as.
I'm getting manipulated all over the place. Not the worst
of it yet.
So here's what's happening. Somehow, and I don't know how it happened, but I normally have my chart plotter on a setting where wherever I'm heading, that's up. So the top of the screen is always where I'm heading. My boat on the little icon stays exactly vertical, and everything else moves around me. And that's how I like to navigate. That's how a lot of people like to navigate.
Pretty common.
When I'm plotting, I like to have north up so I know where it's going on. Somehow, during our switches, the chart plotter got shifted to a north up. And that might happen when you zoom out a lot. So maybe I might have zoomed out and didn't zoom back in enough. Because it's open ocean, I wouldn't know. It all looks the fucking same.
Right, you wouldn't have seen a land on the screen and been like, oh, what's going on with that?
Yeah, it's like, oh no, that's too far away. No, it's like, it's open ocean. I have no frame of reference, so I probably zoomed out and didn't zoom in enough. So I've got north up, but I don't know this. So everything's going batshit crazy. The only thing I can see is that chart plotter. Because it's dark, the rain is pelting me in the face, at 35, 40 miles an hour. But
that screen lights up.
And that screen's lit up. It's a night vision mode, but I can see it, but just barely through my, water all over my glasses. but I can see enough so I can see the lines on it and where I'm supposed to be. And I'm turning my wheel. I've got my wheel hard over port, and it's not changing. It's not changing. I'm like, I can't steer. I'm like, don't tell me I've lost steerage. I'm like, I can't steer. And then I look up in the corner and I see the compass heading, and I have it set to magnetic, so it sort of matches our actual compass, which the light went out on, by the way, so I couldn't see that. So yeah, it's a calamity of bullshit. But I can tell my heading is changing. Oh shit. I'm going around, I can see, because I know the numbers, I know where I am. I know, 0 is north, 270 is west, 90 is east. I know what the numbers mean and where they are. And I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I am going around in circles. So I'm like, so I try to keep it on a heading. By this time, the waves have caught up to the wind, and they eventually stacked up to 12, 15 foot. And I'm judging that by how far the bow is going up in the air and coming back down.
And how airborne I was in the cabin.
Yeah. Yeah, she was getting air in the cabin, which is insane. I didn't feel that back here because it's pivoting probably like this point right here. So and that comes into play later. So we're getting tossed, and I'm like, fuck this chart plotter. I started steering. I put my face into the wind, and I'm like, that's how I'm navigating, is by putting my face into the wind.
Like feeling the pelting, like this is where it's really pelting me in the face.
So I'm just literally going by feel. And that made things a lot better. So we were going into the waves and cutting into them.
And we were still, we were jumping way up and slamming way down, but it was a little bit more of a predictable pattern,
yeah,
I guess you could say. So I'm going to do my first insert here and say, so while this is happening, I went down to try to, catch a couple hours of sleep. And we tend to, lie on the settee that is such that it's the same side as where we have sails out. So we're tipping that way,
the leeward,
and we're more likely to stay and not get tossed out. And I do have a lee cloth there that we can pin up to keep us from falling out. But honestly, normally by the time it gets to the point where that's a problem, we're not sleeping anyway. So I'm up there, I'm down there, and just settling in. I'm on my side. I'm trying to I have a particular way I kind of brace myself when we're underway on my side, so that my back's down there, and I'm braced in there. And I didn't even get to the point of all right, I'm going to try to fall asleep yet. We started rocking around a lot more, and I don't know what's going up on deck at this point. The companionway hatch here behind me was open. We had the door opened up, but I can just tell that things are picking up, and that happens off and on during a shift, and so it didn't alarm me. I'm like, okay, well, the winds are picking up a little bit. It's fine, whatever. We started rocking a little bit more, and the cat jumped up between my legs and the back of the couch as I was lying on my side. The cat doesn't normally sleep with us, only when he's really nervous and he wants reassurance most of the time. And so he jumps up and he's behind my legs, and I'm like, hey buddy, it's okay. And I kind of tuck him in with my legs, give him some reassurance, and I try to start to fall asleep. And then all of a sudden we start rocking like crazy. And I'm having a hard time bracing myself and the cat in that position. And then there was a more pronounced thing, and I got thrown into the table, and it was suddenly very obvious I was not sleeping and something major is happening. So by the time I got off the settee, I stacked a bunch of cushions around the cat so that he had this little triangle of safety up on the settee. And he's looking at me like Puss in Boots with big eyes, like, what the heck is going on? And I make my way over to this companionway to yell out to him. So we're talking less than 2 minutes, this all kind of happened. And all of a sudden I look out, and he's just getting pummeled by rain and wind, and his eyes are all squinted up, and he's gripping the steering wheel, the wheel like this. And I'm like, what do you need right now? And he's like, nothing, I'm just trying to keep us alive. So there, so that's how it started.
So yeah, so we so as we're going up and down these waves, you guys remember the beautiful swim platform that I built while we were in Port St. Lucie at the resort. So apparently while we're going up and down in these waves, we came down so hard that the water resistance, even with the open slats on the back of that thing, couldn't keep up with it. And it snapped a coupling that was supposed to hold 2,000 pounds working load, took it right out, ripped it right out, and then snapped the hinges that it was on up top. So it just took it right off. I didn't know, there was so much noise going on behind me. Kevin was making a horrible racket.
Oh, he was bouncing back and forth.
We tend to like throw extra shit that we just want to grab into Kevin.
So Kevin's the dinghy, and he's up at the back of the boat. We've got him in straps that are really solid.
Yeah, he kind of turns into a catch-all. And all of that shit was just banging back and forth. Plus his straps are new. Not his straps, but his tie downs are new. We have him strapped and tied down. Yep. He's usually solid as shit.
I just reinforced the straps last week.
But the lines are brand new, so they're a little slippery, and they kept coming loose and stretching out, and those drive me nuts. But so he kept slamming back and forth and making a horrible racket.
It wasn't just a like he's bouncing. It was like the waves would hit us, and he'd be like bah, 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 against the solar structure. Bah, 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 you know, so it was a very pronounced thing. Inserting that Bubba the Pirate is on with us. Bubba,
hey,
we miss you. Also, Exquisite Clutter says, sounds you're in your, something to the effect, I'm having trouble seeing the screen because it's so bright, but something like at your best or in your element or something like that.
Did not feel like that.
and Cousin Becky is on as well. Good morning. Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. So while this is going on, our nose is getting buried. Our anchor was clean as shit when we got out of this.
Oh my God, our anchor and our chain have never been that clean as after these storms. I went up and took pictures. I was
power washing it.
What?
The structures I built on front and the new modifications I made to them, they were getting hammered and they were fine. Yep. They worked out. The swim platform is somewhere offshore at the bottom of the ocean, unfortunately. So that's the part that we left behind. And again, so what? It's not a, I mean, we sailed the boat for a couple of years without that swim platform.
We loved it though. It became a big part of how we get everything.
I made the swim platform. It's not a person, it's replaceable. Mm-hmm. However, it has a lot of meaning to us.
It makes our lives a lot easier.
And I won't get into all of that, but we we built it from a couple of pieces of teak that they left over that we found on the boat, and I made it in my cousin Henry's workshop with him. He helped, and it was just a gorgeous piece of machinery. It
was probably about $900 worth of teak. That
600 worth of teak and probably $900 worth of parts, but that doesn't mean anything.
We loved it though. We loved it. It enhanced our lives. It made our lives easier. We were sad that it was gone. And this all happened at nighttime. I finally, there's more to the story here that we'll backtrack on in just a second. But since he's talking about the swim platform, geez, I hope that's trying to keep.
I get it weighted down.
Okay. Sorry, we're bouncing a lot. So at the storm, that first storm that we went through lasted just under 3 hours. When it finally started to settle down, I took over about 3 a.m. after the storm, after not getting any rest during my off, like I didn't get an off shift, but after what he had went through, I'm like, yep, I'm good for 3 more hours. So, I took on shift, and I was on shift at 6 in the morning when the sun was starting to come up. And that's when we discovered the swim platform was gone, because it had been really dark and really bouncy still. And it wasn't until the light started coming up, that I started looking more at the water behind me in the cockpit, and I'm like, wait a minute,
Beautiful water too.
It's like indigo purple.
It's purple.
Like
It's just gorgeous.
And we had these like light blue and yellow fish following us the next morning. They were so cool. But anyway, so I was like at the back of the cockpit, and I was looking down at the water and going, something's not right. What's like? I'm tired. I'm trying to adjust my head, and I'm like, this isn't my view. This isn't how I normally look off and I looked down, and there was no swim platform, and I have to actually lean over the back of the boat to see the true back of the boat. So I'm being really careful because we're still bouncing quite a bit, and I'm looking over and I can see the 3 metal supports, which are huge. This is not like a couple of pins and screws. It's like big wide poles that this thing was built on are just sheared off. And I'm like, oh my God. So he wakes up for his next shift at like 6 in the morning, and he comes down shortly after I discovered this. I mean, he comes up and I'm like, hun, the swim platform is gone. And he just looks at me like it didn't register with him. Like, what?
No, registered. I was just like, I couldn't fucking believe it.
I'm like, the swim platform, it's just gone. It's not on the boat anymore. And he's like, you've got to be kidding me. And he comes over and he looks at me like, okay, if that's the worst thing that happened in that, okay. Yeah, it's sad. It's like, oh man, that's like one of our favorite things we've done to the boat.
And then I kick myself. I mean, I designed it. I engineered the whole fucking thing. So it's, my responsibility. But my original plan, if I'd gone with my original plan and taken the time to do it, or we had time to do it, we would still have a swim platform, because it was originally designed to fold up. And where we put it on, we were leaving the docks in such a time where I did not have the time to orient the couplings on back, so that it would anyways, it just, I couldn't make it happen in that amount of time. So I was like, screw it. I mean, I see Island Packets and all these other boats that have these swim platforms that aren't as rugged as ours. I'm sure it'll be fine, and I was wrong. So while we're going, so this is like a 3-hour event. Yeah,
it was basically the duration of your shift.
So I'm going through this, and I am getting pelted. I'm getting soaked. I'm getting just absolutely soaked. And I've got one of these automatic offshore life jackets that when you fall in the water, it inflates. I had meant to shut off the automatic on that because it has a manual pull tab. Apparently I never did that. She comes up and yells something like, if I need anything or something.
Yeah, I think I was just checking. And what can I throw to you?
Just checking on something or telling me something. And while she's doing that, my life jacket decides that it's so wet that it's underwater and goes boom. But only one side of the Velcro on it, because it's like a bladder inside and it has like Velcro, and it just like it rips the Velcro off, and only one side came undone. So it's like poof. And because of that, there was so much pressure that around my neck, it started squeezing it and cutting off my carotid artery.
You needed that.
And I'm still hand steering because we're so rough that the autopilot can't handle when it's that rough.
This is why they always say when you buy a life jacket, practice letting it go off once.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, derailed. Where was I? The life jacket went off. It was cutting off my friggin', it was giving me in a chokehold. I was like, so I actually have training for this. So I'm like, I can't believe I'm using it on a fucking life jacket. That's supposed to save my life.
I didn't think about that at all.
I was supposed to be using this if somebody comes behind me and puts me in a chokehold. So I immediately do the shrug thing, bring my chin down.
Stop! You seriously did?
Yeah. Well, how the fuck am I supposed to fucking?
Yeah, you didn't tell me that part. That's hysterical.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I'm like that, and I'm like, okay, I'm okay for now. I'm like, I got to figure this out. And I'm like, I guess the other side didn't inflate. So I reach down and I find the Velcro, and it was on there, and I rip it. And I thought my other thing was like, I'm just going to get my knife and poke it. I pulled that Velcro on the other side of it, bang! And all of a sudden I got this big fucking ring around. I can breathe now, and my blood flow is still there, but it's like I've got like this big, it's like a big yellow set of knockers in front of me, which I usually enjoy. But it's like boom, and I'm like, okay. And
that's right, because I had come up to ask you if you needed anything, either right before or right after the first side went off, because I heard something, but I couldn't see what was happening. It was that crazy and dark and windy and rainy out here, and I heard it was obviously the life jacket that had gone off, and you're like, "Wow, the life jackets work!"
Yep.
Cottywomple is on.
Oh, Cottywomple. We're only halfway down this story, but there's way more to this, and it sucks even. This isn't even the worst part.
I'm trying to keep up with the comments. The sun is right in our eyes, so I'm having trouble seeing them. But I think it was cousin Becky that said, "At least you guys are alive and you're all right," and all that good stuff.
Everything is fine.
Little knockers, Mike says, and Mike says he'll help us build a new swim platform.
And luckily, I have the plans for the original, so I just need nothing got ripped out of the transom.
Thank goodness.
Because when you design something, you always design the weakest point to be, to break off before. You don't want it to rip off something that's going to fucking sink the boat. That's what happened. So yeah, it's totally rebuildable, totally redoable. So let me finish though. So so 3 hours go through. I think that there was something else that happened too, and I can't remember exactly what, but we'll go back to it if I remember it. Wasn't that important, I guess. So we get through this whole thing. I go down below finally. We're still getting tossed a little bit, but she's got it.
I do want to go back and talk about it inside at some point.
The winds are died down. So do you want to talk about like the inside after we get down the second storm, or do you want to talk about the inside after this first storm now?
No, because what you're talking about is the first storm, and that's when I was inside.
While you were inside.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So
let me see the phone.
Yeah. So so for that first storm, G was outside in the cockpit by himself. I'm down below with Pickles, and again, that was the 3 hours.
I don't need your glasses.
Oh, you don't? Sometimes you do.
Don't need your.
He's worn my pink ones before. Anyway.
Oh my god.
I'm like, the only one that I have my pink ones. Whatever. All right. So like I said, I was down below when this whole thing started with the cat, and it became very obvious very quickly that it was safer in that moment for me to stay down there and corral the cat, and stuff was flying all over the place, even though we had things really quite well secured for sailing. And so I stayed down there and dealt with stuff down below. That storm, the waves were coming at us from 3 different directions eventually. Is that accurate, hon?
What's that?
That storm, the waves were coming at us from 3 different directions.
No.
That was the other storm.
No, that was the other storm. All
right.
That was the big storm. This wasn't even the big storm.
No, this wasn't even the big storm.
No.
So, however, the first storm was scarier for me, and here's why. I was down below, did not down below necessarily need a life jacket, and he's up here life jacket and tethered in. We're always tethered in when we're up on deck alone. So even if his life jacket had failed, he was still tethered in. I'm down below, and within a 5 to 7 minute period, we went from I'm on the settee trying to go to sleep to me sitting on the starboard side with my arm braced over the side of the divider to the kitchen, to the galley, grabbing onto a pole, bracing my foot against the cushion, pulling myself up against the back of the settee as far as I can, and keeping myself from getting launched across the cabin. I've got the cat in the cone of safety between a whole bunch of cushions and trying to talk him through staying there, which of course he didn't. And so I'm trying to corral the cat and keep myself from getting launched across the cabin, which happened multiple times. And multiple times I was way airborne and keeping myself from going way up. If I had not been holding on, I'm pretty sure I would have gone a good 3 or 4 feet up in the air and probably crashed into the table more than once. I'd crashed into it the first time when we started lurching around. But for those of you, especially who are sailors, that was the first time I've gone through really, really rough weather, being down below and hearing how the boat sounds in those conditions. Now, Molly is a 23,000-pound boat. She's a beast. That's one of the reasons why we purchased her. She is never going to win a race, but she is super stable and she is super strong. And we worked hard to reinforce that when we did the refit for 3 years on her. So we have a lot of confidence in her strength to handle those kind of conditions. But I'm down below and I'm hearing creaking and then eventually feeling movement in places I've never felt in the boat before. We have a kind of suspended over the belly of the boat, a parquet flooring. The parquet flooring was buckling from the impact of the waves moving the fiberglass of the boat. The seat underneath me was waving. The actual wood was moving underneath me at points, and the bulkhead over my head was creaking and, for lack of a better term, screaming in such a way from movement of all that fiberglass, which it's designed to do and take a beating. Even though you think of it as a solid piece, it's not really. There was so much noise down below that there were points where I thought the whole cabin top was going to get ripped off. And there were a couple of points where I was quite sure that the boat was going to break in half. It was the most scared I think I've ever been in my entire life. And I don't say that lightly. and it was, I honestly, there were points where I wasn't sure we were going to make it from that storm. And
I never had that feeling.
Which is amazing because you were out here facing it in a way I wasn't.
It's scary
but
I
was hearing all this stuff that I've never felt before. And I was like, there was a point where I yelled out and I'm like, this is not the way I am supposed to go. I just went through a recent health scare and I'm on some new medication and it's fine. I'm doing fine. And I was thinking to myself, I'm worried about that. I'm like, this is not how I'm supposed to go. And I actually yelled that out at one point. So just didn't want to scare my poor mother on Mother's Day, but it was a very emotional experience going through that storm. It definitely affected me. And when we were done, oh my God, freaking rock star over here. I'm God. Yeah. Sailing is emotional.
Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln.
Stop. Well, it's not like it wasn't a pleasure cruise, man. It was,
No, I get it. It's way scarier in the cabin during those things. Keith, we actually do have leak loss. Yeah, we do. I don't know if leak loss were going to do anything. It could have bounced you over the leak loss. It would have, yeah, because our leak loss are like 2 feet. And keep in mind, this isn't our first storm or even a bad storm we've been in. I've been through hurricanes. Well, at anchor, yeah, but sure. Even, but so we're not sitting here being over dramatic and we're not saying they're 12-foot seas when they were like 8-foot seas. No, they were 12 foot. It's like we have enough experience to be like, okay, that's, we know it was bad. But you know what? So it was 3 hours. And then she took over. Happy to. I'm like, yep, you go get some sleep. Yeah. And I came out the next morning. She told me about the swim platform. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? But put the sail up, shut the engine off, Everything went back to awesome. So major key. That's the theme for the. And Bill, yeah, we have. We were working on a song last night till like 3 in the morning.
Yep. There's some songs coming out of this. Yep. Sparks were there, and we didn't get a lot of sleep last night because we were just working on lyrics.
So this is a halfway point. This is intermission.
Everyone take a breath. Everyone take a breath. Ooh.
So go down to the A, to the
Chapter
G.
2.
But then
Because that wasn't even the biggest storm.
F sharp with the sharp 11, sharp 9, dominant sharp 9 to the foreboding for what's to come.
Oh, and the shaking. You were talking about like.
No, I'm at the foreboding, so we're gonna
skip that.
We can come back to it. Yeah. So everything was great. The next day, we're fucking blowing 9-10 knots. We're just cruising along in a light wind. The sea's calmed right down. We're doing really good. We're just happy as shit. And
What's your phone comments?
Okay.
We're happy as shit.
And we're going along. Like, thank God that's over. Somewhere around in the afternoon, I think I had to have been on shift. I was on shift. We started taking the 4-hour shifts because things were starting to normalize out. I was still having a little trouble sleeping during my shifts because something would come up that normally, even on a good passage, like shit pops up and she like needs me to help. It's a 2-person boat. This boat is a 2-person boat.
Go ahead, including you. There are times that you're
absolutely.
Hey, I got to do this to the sail. You got to come up.
But it just happened to be like on your shift where I was off, and like I'd be trying to sleep, and then something would happen. And I'm like, oh fuck, I need to go deal with this. So I wasn't getting a lot of really good sleep, and there was only like a shift in between, anyways. And it was afternoon, I was on my shift, and all of a sudden, so I've had my radio set, so it is constantly scanning the weather channel, and if there's an alert on the weather channel, because the weather channel keeps going all the time, it doesn't pick up on that. It won't like interrupt the scan. It won't stop the scan for just regular broadcast, but apparently there's a thing that they do where when there's an emergency or a warning or something they need to broadcast, that'll break in, and the scan will stop and it'll go onto the weather channel I've designated. And so I have it set for the one I could hear in Charleston, South Carolina. So all of a sudden, which was far enough away, and we're 75 miles offshore at this point. We're like legit off. We're 75 miles out, I think, 70, 75. And like I said, everything is going great, and then all of a sudden this thing starts squawking. Go fuck. Basically, it was like really, because it's Charleston, it was pretty far away. Not only because I'm so far offshore, I was about to even to here. I was about, we were a little farther north.
Yeah, we were just like, if you saw Fernandina on the map, we were just a little bit above.
We were like a little bit around Brunswick. Like if you had to go like lateral across. And all of a sudden, it's like, basically the guy gets on, and it took me like 30 minutes to piece together everything he was saying. They had shut down that weather channel and dedicated it to emergency service, like emergency weather.
For basically the bottom of South Carolina.
So I'm about to tell that.
Oh, sorry.
And so from South Carolina down to Altamaha Sound in Georgia, which is just above Brunswick. Severe thunderstorm warnings. 60 knot winds, all this crazy shit, tornadoes. And I'm like, that's basically all of Georgia. It's like you're basically saying the entirety of Georgia is under, getting absolutely creamed right now. And I'm like, and it's heading east. And I heard varying reports of anywhere from it's heading east at 10 miles per hour, or maybe 40 miles an hour. Like I said, I'm getting all this in a very staticky. I'm piecing it together. Each time it comes around, I'm getting a different part of the sentence the guy's saying, and that's how I have to piece this together because I don't have
Starlink.
I don't have Starlink, and I didn't want it, and I still don't want it. I want the communication that it serves, but we'll get into that later. What I do have is I do have a satellite service that provides me weather through Garmin. Garmin, as far as I'm concerned, after this trip, can suck it. They're just awful. And the weather they're providing was just so basic and useless.
It wasn't helpful. Yeah.
So I'm piecing all this together, and I'm like, we are turning south now. And for me to turn this boat south after making all that progress,
and the Gulf Stream's shooting us up. Yeah.
And so I'm like, I need to turn the boat south. I need to get back. And my plan was at that point, so I'm going to go southwest. I'm going to go down. I'm going to let this system, because I still didn't have any idea of how big this was. I knew it was huge, but I'm like, I'm going to let this system go over us, and then I'm going to just go in back of it. And by that time, I should be like nearer the coast. Then I can get like some satellite imagery and see exactly what I'm dealing with from now on. And what I'll do is I'll hug the coast the rest of the way up, so I have that information.
So at this point, he'd taken over his shift, and much like the last time, because this keeps happening to us, it's just the way it is, I'd gone down to take a rest, and he called me back up because this is a two-person boat. We treat it in such a way that he is the captain and I'm the secondary, but I do run the boat on shifts. But it's still, these are big decisions. So he still called me up in the cockpit, and he's like, hey, I need you up here. I need to talk to you. And he told me all of this. And he's like, I'm thinking I need to turn south. What do you think? And so he's still having a conversation with me about it, which I love, by the way. But it's like, I'm not just dictating this. I mean, you would have if you had to in that moment really quickly.
Yeah,
but it's
absolutely.
like, I think we need to turn south. What do you think? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be in, are you kidding? After what we just went through, we can't do 60 knot winds and massive thunderstorms and lightning the entire coast of Georgia. No, let's go.
So I turned the boat south, and so now we're kind of on we're kind of beating, not too bad, but we're into the wind more, so it is a little more. It isn't like the run we were on where it's nice and smooth, but we're going along. We're still making 4.5, 5 knots even against the current. Another reason, I wanted to make my way. If the storm was going this way, I wanted to be going the opposite direction and not just south, because I knew the current was going to slow me way the fuck down. So I wanted to get like behind it as much as I could too. What I didn't know was, so if you look at the radar in that area for that time, so here we are. Here's the coast of the United States, and here's Georgia, and the storm systems are coming across here. We're heading south, going that way to avoid this shit up here. What we didn't know was there was another system down here, and at about 60, 70 miles offshore, pretty much exactly where we were, those two systems came together. to watch it on the radar is pretty dramatic and exciting.
Which we could do retroactively. It was like, oh my God.
What that meant for us was I just gave Allie her shift. I went down. I went to the restroom. And so when I left, everything was great. We were motor sailing at that point because I wanted to go fast. So I had, this boat screams motor sailing if it's going into the wind. It really does well motor sailing. So I had out our entire 140 Genoa.
Which is big.
And it's a big, big head sail.
Very big for the boat.
It's very large. And I had the motor going at about 1600 RPM, which is a pretty low setting for the motor. So it's not really taxing the motor, but we're still going at a very good clip. So everything's clear. I'm looking in the distance. I don't see, and I tell Allie, I'm like, look for lightning along this ridge right here. That's where you're going to see it. We're going to be probably anywhere from 20 to 80 miles south of it by the time it comes around to us. Again, I don't know exactly how fast it's going. I just know it's coming our direction. So I go down, I use the bathroom, I come out, I lie down, I set the alarm on my phone, and I lay down and I hear her yell for me. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And I use the keywords that I do whenever it's like, you have different language that you use for, hey, it would be helpful if you were up here soon. And it's like, Galen, I need you now. I need you now. I need you now.
And I was like, and I'm like, oh shit, because I gotta gear up. And while I'm gearing up, I'm like, what's going on? And she says, just get out here. And I'm like, oh, okay, this can't be good. I just left. And so I come out, and I don't know if you ever watched Lost, the smoke monster on Lost. I come out, and there are black clouds encircling us that weren't there, what?
5 minutes before.
7 minutes ago. On both sides of us, it's dark. And you can see the beginning of it in that video she took. And we'll get into that in a second.
I was going to say, let me explain.
Yeah, I will when I'm done. So it's circling around us. Our full 140 Genoa is still out. And if you're a sailor, you know right there, that's fucking terrifying. And by the time I got out here, she has the boat hard over. And she's like, I'm hard over. I can't do anything. We're backwinded. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I reach over, I pull the throttle up, and I say, and I tell her to turn with it because you're not going to fight it. We've got a full, because no, we're not going to turn. I don't know how fast the wind was blowing at that moment. But I had her go around and jibe and come back around into the wind. And when she did, I loosened. All I could do is loosen the sheet. Again, we're getting tossed. And I loose the sheets and I start pulling that reefing line, and it was flapping so hard I could not get it in.
You're pulling it in like an inch at a time with your whole weight on it.
And I'm literally standing with my arm wrapped around the line, leaning back. So I'm putting about 160 to 200 pounds of pressure, probably not all my weight, but a good section of it on that line. And I'm gaining maybe an inch at a time when it like flaps just right. And she's trying to tell me, because I can't see because it's behind me, and she's telling me like when it's going to go.
Yeah, like so we go in a wave and
conserve my so I can like conserve my energy a little bit
Now.
and, you know, and cleat it. And then at one point, the sheets, because they're going loose now, because I can't control them. I can't control them and try to haul on that thing. I thought about putting it around the winch and hauling it. That is a rugged system, but I don't think it could handle that.
No.
That's not, you're really not supposed to do that. That was my last, that's a last fucking, you know, ditch effort to do that. So I look up and I see the lines, the sheets had gotten wrapped around the shrouds and the cleat that holds our flag halyard. I'm like, fuck. So I'm like, I gotta go forward. So I clip, I go forward, I unwrap it, and this thing is just, I mean, the noise is just insane, just whack, 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 whack. And I come back out here, and I start pulling on it again, and finally it came, and I wrestled that thing in, and we got it. By that time, we were fully in the shit. The clouds were all above us. The rain was going.
So before we go,
I'm about to pass it off to you.
Okay. I was like, don't go through the entire story and then come back to me.
It's okay, girl. Yeah, so we get there. Yeah, I get it in, and now, yes, go.
All right. So when this whole thing first started and he was down below, we knew we were outrunning this system. We had turned south and we were going to go toward land and toward Fernandina in general, or just south of where we were. We hadn't even plotted a course really so much as just like a general direction. So I'm up here and I'm thinking everything's under control. And I could see in the distance, like if I actually held my hand up, you know, and people do these weird things in sailing, I can see like the width of my fingernail, I mean, my pinky finger is about how big that system is in the distance, you know, as I hold my hand out. And I'm like, that's, you know, we're talking probably 80 miles away from us. You know, I haven't even seen lightning develop yet, except way, way, way in the distance, you know, and so you're kind of keeping an eye on it. We have this our wonderful friends, John and Susie down in Port St. Lucie. John's a meteorologist, and he's always fascinated by all the weather stuff. And I'm like, these cloud formations are really interesting. It was like this long, skinny stretch of very dark, which I could tell was a lot of rain, and almost like a cupcake white covering all the way along. And in that video that we posted, you could see that, like a super, super long sheet cake of clouds. And it was just a really interesting formation that was not alarming to me yet because it looked like it was so far away from us. But it was all on the starboard side of us and to the aft. And so I'm like, I'm going to get a video of that. That'd be interesting to John. So I took a video of where we could see this big swash of open air and the sunset, you know, or the, you know, it was going towards sunset at that point.
Yeah,
because it was pink. There was pink in the sky. And so at least half of my view was just nice open sky, billowy clouds. We're headed in that direction of all the good weather. Got this little sliver of bad weather behind us that we're getting away from, fine. And I took a video and I'm like, that was shaking a lot. I'll do that again, like you do. You know, I'll do that again. Okay, so here's the good side. Here's the bad side. I'm still not totally happy with that. I'll do it a third time, course of like a minute and a half. Take it over to, it's getting a lot bigger. That area is getting bigger a lot faster than I would expect it to. And I realized, I don't know what caused me to do this, but even though I had this big open area of good weather to go toward, I decided to go right at the edge of where that bad weather was very beginning, you could tell. And I knew land was somewhat that direction. And thank goodness I went that direction, because in the minute to minute and a half that I was taking that video, that smoke cloud looking system that Galen talked about that looked like Lost had curved around the back of the boat. And when I looked to my left to port, it was like there was a tornado-like smoke formation coming around the boat in a sea. And in the span of a minute and a half, we went from all this open air and the sliver of storm way, way in the distance to it's coming around us like a sea. And my window of open, good, you can see everything. It's not stormy in front of us. It was going like this. And suddenly I had this tiny window to try to get through. And that's when I yelled down to him and I'm like, I need you up there now. So where do you want to take it from there?
So
we got the head sail in.
So basically, so this is at sunset. We are heading towards, we just happened, my southwest trajectory was taking us by happenstance towards Fernandina Beach, which is a, St. Mary's Inlet is a super easy, wide, protected inlet that we have gone through before and we're familiar with. It's 65, 70 miles away at this point. We're going 4.5 knots, average. The wind, so we have storm cells all around us at this point. We have these cells all around us, and depending on which one we're closer to at the time, the wind is changing directions. So it is blowing from the north, it's blowing from the west, it can blow from the south. It depends on which one is nearest at the time. It was crazy. I've never been in the middle of a bunch of storm cells like that. Because of that, the waves were kicking up. Now, the waves for each cell were not as large as the one for the previous storm. However, how waves work is they can stack on each other. So a 3-foot wave and a 4-foot wave, if they're coming from different directions, when they meet, they are a 7-foot wave. The math is that simple. They just add. That's true for any wave, not just ocean. So these were kicking up 6 to 8 foot, depending on which direction and how the intensity of the wind. So we were still getting these peaks, that could be around 12 to 15 feet at a time. And you could see them because thankfully this night, unlike the night before, we had the moon out and it was so bright that we could see the ocean, which helped immensely because we could avoid some of these little pockets that we could see, like these monster waves, and all of a sudden, sometimes we couldn't. Sometimes they would come up on us, or sometimes they would form because the waves would be coming together right next to us, and we would just get lifted and tossed back down. Or they'd crash over us. But it wasn't a consistent 12 to 15 foot sea. It was more like an 8-foot sea with peaks. Yeah. But the period, the amount that the waves were apart from each other was very short. So we were still getting tossed quite a bit. Not, like I said, not as bad as the other night. However, it was, for me, that was much more concerning because I had never been in a storm or a series of storms like that before. And at one point, somebody mentioned on there the perfect storm. Several people have, actually. It wasn't quite as bad as that because that was actually like a nor'easter and another cell that were like fully developed storms that came together. These were developing systems that kind of came together over us. So it wasn't like a big swirling mass and a big swirling mass but same idea. Yeah, same idea. It kind of met up where we were at, and wow. I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, yeah, that's kind of like the perfect storm. I'm like, oh, yeah, that'll be a story. I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, of course, it's not like that. We're not in that kind of danger because, those guys were way offshore and
Yeah,
in a little boat. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I'm way the fuck offshore in a little boat. I'm like,
he's like, yeah,
we're fine.
Those people were
We're
like
fine.
40, 50 miles offshore just on like a smaller boat. And I'm like, yeah, yeah.
They weren't on a smaller boat, but they weren't on a sailboat. They weren't on Molly.
No.
And it wasn't the same. It wasn't the same situation, but
the Vances have entered the conversation.
Yes.
You guys are going to have to go back and watch the first part of this because the first part of this you guys would find.
Oh, we'll just sit down and have beers.
Just call us. We'll do a call.
But yeah, so we're in this. So we did not get out of this until sunrise. So from sunset to sunrise, this was our experience.
One big difference was that for the first storm, I was down below for that 3-hour very intense storm with all the noise and everything. For this storm, I made the conscious decision as it was starting that I'm not leaving him up on deck by himself. So I had a few moments to close up the cabin, and then I stayed braced. Whoever wasn't at the helm, we went back and forth quite a bit that 12 hours and just, yeah, it wasn't really so much shifts. It's like you go for a while. Excuse me. And whoever wasn't at the wheel was underneath the Dodger kind of bracing themselves. So I really did not want you up here by yourself for that second storm.
And I appreciate that. And we were, and
thank goodness we did because it was so long.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So like I said, we were heading towards Fernandina, St. Mary's Inlet. So I was like, that's where we're going. We do not have the energy to keep going right now. So I am making the call that we're going to an anchorage.
This is after a good,
and so
almost 24 hours of us barely getting an hour of sleep at any time. Yeah.
So I made the call that we're going to an anchorage and we're going to recover because we are physically and emotionally just drained. So it was on us all the way until the entrance. It calmed down a little, probably 2 hours before we hit the first entrance buoy. It became, it was all manageable. Obviously, we managed it,
but it wasn't fun.
It was just sporty for the last few hours. But then again, it would like kick up, and all of a sudden we'd start seeing lightning again. We're like, "Are you shitting me?" But it was just for little periods of time.
I remember at points being. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, go ahead. You want to say something?
Well, I remember at points being at the helm that last. 12 hours, and I was braced on one side of the cockpit with my feet braced on the lower cockpit area, and my legs and feet were getting so sore from bracing myself. And there were a lot of points in that 12 hours that one of us would nod off for just a few seconds, just like, yeah, and you're nodding off. And then all of a sudden a wave would crash over and like completely soak me at the wheel. And you're like, all right, I'm awake. I'm awake.
That's typical storm stuff. But yeah, so we made it in, we dropped anchor, and here we are. And, everything's good. But yeah, so it was a rough path. I think we slept most of the day on Friday because, it was just it was a bullshit experience. But so, yeah, I need
no, you're fine.
Just, I gotta talk. What do you want to say?
I've managed to, so we've been sailing for, I think it's almost 20 years now. And I got sick, like throwing up. Our very first trip on our very first boat, bringing it up from Massachusetts, from Massachusetts to Maine. And I have not thrown up on a sailboat since then. And unfortunately, that first storm that we went through, I got really sick down below and was, getting sick into a plastic bag for a good chunk of it. And my voice is still recovering because I was retching for so many hours. And so that's just a note I wanted to add. I finally broke my streak.
Great.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I guess, yeah, we're looking for our next boat right now anyways. What now?
It was a funny transition. I was laughing at you.
No,
So we're looking for our next boat.
actually listen, I'll get to what I'm saying and then it'll make sense. We're looking to our next boat, and there's a lot of things that we're looking for, and definitely like a covered cockpit, an exposure canopy is absolutely a must. I'm like, we can't do that. Going through fucking storms, being out in the open like that is just absolutely ridiculous. This boat, to modify to do that would be, I mean, we could do it. It would be a lot of work. And there's a lot of other things. And then there's there's a whole thing of, I want information when I'm offshore. I did not want to get the Starlink, but it looks like that's really the only option. And maybe we talk to the Technomatia people and see what all of our options actually are. They'll know better than we will. Like, well, no, you don't have to get Starlink. You can get this service and get, real weather updates. Chris Parker, maybe we subscribe to Chris Parker and get that through our existing satellite service. What else? What have you guys got? Like on Cottywample and Liberty, and whoever else is on Todd. I don't even know what you got. What do you have?
Todd doesn't have all of that because Todd's like one of those pirates from like 1850, man. He doesn't need all that. Bubba the Pirate.
Ruth Ann's a seaworthy vessel, and he is a fucking rock star sailor. Yeah, I don't know if he wants to be out in that with Ruth Ann.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
He is an awesome pirate, though.
Yeah, he is an awesome pirate.
We actually posted a video that Technomatia put together. Technomatia are friends of ours that have both been cruisers and RVers for a long time. And they put together a video of options that I reposted. And there were multiple things in addition to Starlink that were options. So we'll have to go back. I can't remember them off the top of my head. In the meantime, other people, Brandon said he's sticking to the top of the waves. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
He's a surfer, competitive surfer, amazing dude.
Yeah, we did some surfing.
We did some surfing. It was a little different. Our board is heavier. Our board is a lot heavier. Keith says he's got Starlink. It's getting expensive. They're hoping for something new soon. They're on Cottywample. You guys have heard us talk about them before and their awesomeness. Becky said, cousin Becky said, I'm with you on the Garmin. I had it on the truck and it sucked. She turned the radio to 1630 AM and it would give her more information.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's like their 16.
Yep.
But only one way.
My mother said so terrifying in response to what we were talking about with all the storms.
Is there a CB like emergency channel? Like on like a regular CB? Do truckers even use CBs nowadays? Todd and Becky, let us know.
Yeah, right. We got 2 truckers on. That's right. Mike's probably headed to brunch here soon. He told us he had to take off early, but he mentioned, thank goodness your engine ran like a top.
She did well, man.
Yeah.
She did well. She's got some issues, though. I got to deal with the transmission. But she she got us through.
I mean, considering that we've had trips where you've had to go down and have the engine door open and doing a bunch of things while we're in the shit, so to speak. That did not happen as much this trip.
No.
I think you checked on things a couple times, but there was no like, oh my God, we got to heave to and I got to make this repair. And, you know, there was, thank goodness there was none of that in the middle of everything.
No. I mean, that was our other option. Okay, so why didn't we heave to? Basically, these things came on us so quickly, I did not have time to react that way. Thankfully, so that first storm, thank God, or whatever, we had full sail out. We had full fucking sail. Every sail on this boat was out all the way. 2 minutes before? Within 5 minutes. Within 5 minutes of me putting that sail away, we were in 35 knot winds.
And you wouldn't have been able to get it in.
There's no way. No way. That would have been, I mean, I could have, but I mean, that would have been like an hour ordeal right there.
On top of everything else.
Especially with it being at night and being so disoriented and not knowing which way was up, literally. That would have been so tough. So that made it a lot easier. The other thing that made it, it's like, even though that we had full head sail out the second storm, it was just the head sail. And I did that on purpose. I did not put up the mainsail. And I even said this.
Yep.
I said, I'm not putting up that mainsail because last time we got caught so quickly that we would have gotten knocked over the second time. But the engine was already on because we were motor sailing. So thankfully that was, that was a thing.
Todd says that the CB is used way less and it's kind of like a junior high boys locker room. Todd's also a writer. Steven says, I'm so glad that you're safe. He also says Starlink would be nice. We're right there with you. It's like, oh, that would be nice. That's very expensive. We're like, we don't need that. We've got this and we've got the other thing and we got the inReach and we got the radio. Yeah. And like,
yeah, there's a variety of reasons. But if it means we can avoid that shit, I'll get it. Safety, safety first isn't just a fucking slogan. It's you got to do it. And then, we can afford it. We can get it. So if we need it, we will get it. I never saw the need for it. Normally we don't go offshore every fucking day. We just do it on these long trips.
And we plan them out carefully to be in good weather windows.
Yeah. And we had the weather window. It was a legit great weather window, except I should have paid more heed to those weak high pressure systems that were off the shore. They don't create, I'm not sure, I could ask John about this, because they don't create the storms, but they allow, makes it conducive for storms to come in or something like that.
Creates an environment where they can
If anybody knows more about that, then please school me on it, because obviously I did not give that enough gravity. I knew enough to be aware of it, my biggest mistake was thinking, and I talked to other sailors about this before we left too, and and we agreed, it's like, I should be able to see especially at night, a storm system coming in off the shore. That should be something, I should be able to see the lightning in the distance. I should get at least a 15 to 20 minute warning of like, oh shit, there's something coming in and it's a squall and I have to, it's fine. Okay, a squall. Great. You deal with it for, half an hour to 40 minutes and it's done. Yeah, but not that shit. Especially that last night. God. But anyways, I think, I mean, there was, you know, shit got tossed and blown and worn out, but I think the swim platform was the only lasting damage that occurred. Our solar structure, you know, absolutely rocked it. Kevin was being Kevin, and you know, he was rocking around doing his bullshit Kevin thing, but the davit system held him in place. Thankfully, Allie reinforced the straps because they were coming on. They were old straps, and I'm like, we need to reinforce these for the trip. So she like hand stitched a whole bunch of box stitches in there and reinforced some weak points.
Added some more strapping.
Yeah, we totally could have lost Kevin if you hadn't done that.
Yeah, I did as much of I have a lesser sewing machine than a Sailrite, and so I did as much of it on the sewing machine as I could, but there were points where the strapping is like 4 layers thick and mine just wouldn't handle it, so I had to use my sail palm, which is like a thing where you can force the needle through, and hand sew it. It took me, I did it over like 3 days, like an hour or 2 at a time, because it's hard work. But I'm so glad. I was telling him when we stopped, I'm like, there were places where I didn't replace any strapping, but there were places where it was worn on the outsides and it could have ripped. And so I doubled and tripled it in some areas, a much larger expanse of the strapping than I probably needed to do. And I'm so glad I did that. I'm like, yeah, anytime you're doing anything to enforce anything for strength, it's like, and you think that might be overkill. It never is. It never is. So Dean says to check out Stock, I think it's pronounced, STOCKE ASTS, Stock ASTS, which is has been out for a while. The AST Space Mobile is going to be a fast satellite connection to unmodified cell phones. So he said we should check that out.
Oh yeah, that's another Musk product, isn't it? Through Starlink.
Christine, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Christina says Telesat is Canadian, and also Eutelsat, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, sorry, is European, and are Starlink replacements, but she's not sure if they work in the USA.
Okay.
So we'll check those out as well. Thank you. I'm going to take a little screenshot of that on your phone. And Rebecca said, I'm not sure exactly what she said this in regards to, but she said, yes, there is, but the chances of getting help are like a pregnant pole vaulter in high winds. So much radio talk and garbage.
CV.
The CVs, right.
Yeah.
That your Qualcomm, not sure what that is either, but and cell phones are your best options. So not CV. The Vances are off. Goodbye, Vances. Have a wonderful day. Ciao. Yeah. Anything, and they were talking about good job on the straps. It's like anything we can reinforce when it comes to boat life, it's going to be in our favor in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much the story of that.
We were very, very happy to be in Fernandina. It's been kind of weirdly bittersweet because even though it doesn't seem too bad right now, it's just kind of overcast and windy. We've got rain for several days in a row. So Fernandina is like one of those places with some of our favorite musicians who play are here. They're playing this weekend. I haven't had a shower since Monday of this last week, so I'm like, I really want to go in and take a shower. And this place has, you pay like $10 for your boat and you have free showers and easy access to laundry for several days. So it's super easy, but we don't have a window of more than a couple of hours that it's not pouring to go in and do that and be able to get back with our laundry and not have it all be soaked. So I'm like, come on, just give me like a 3 or 4 hour window without rain so we can go do that. Or go see one of our friends play. That'd be awesome too. Maybe Tuesday. Sam will be at the Palace on Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah. Some of the cruisers were talking about taking off out of here on Tuesday. I'd actually like to meet up and do like a passage planning with those boats. Where did they? Shit. Where did
I was going to say a couple people took off while we were talking.
The Hawaii boat's gone.
Yeah, the Hawaii boat's gone. The folks that we were talking to online.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, are gone. I didn't see they're from Hawaii. My eyes aren't that good. Sorry. Another boat that was down in the mooring field took off while we were talking.
Oh, she was talking about going. She didn't take off now, did she?
No, who knows where they were going? From all we know, they were going to like St. Mary's or something. Might have just been going someplace not too far away.
Oh my God!
Turn my glasses so I can see. So when we actually got into Fernandina, I was just so freaking relieved, and I remember after that first storm, you know, where I was down below and all the noise and getting launched around the cabin and stuff. It's and the poor cat was so scared. I felt so badly for Pickles. Doing my best to keep him calm. I'm glad I was down there for that one. The second storm. So it was 12 hours, the second storm. And when I finally went downstairs, I think we were on the approach to Fernandina and going through the buoys, which is about an hour-long process. We were still lurching a month, so I really needed to use the bathroom. So I went downstairs, and the cabin was just a shambles. We've always been very good at keeping things contained in storms and when we're offshore and our stuff doesn't go everywhere, but it was just too much with all those waves coming from different directions. And we have drawers that are underneath our starboard settee, and they have like a little lip on them so that they catch and kind of lock in place. So they're not going to just like slide out really easily. So you put them in and it's like ka-thunk. They like go into like this little notch. Well, we were getting lurched so much that one of those drawers completely came out of there, jumped out of there, and was still kind of hanging on the edge of the lip of where it goes in. So it was like mostly out, but up against the mast. And there's stuff all around it piled up all around it, and all over the cabin. And I'm looking for the cat and haven't seen him for 12 hours because we've been out on deck. And I'm like, people yelling to us and saying hi.
What did they say?
And they're like, "Hi, Bangor, Maine."
Thanks for waking us.
Thanks for waking the heck out of us.
It's like we're like really close to shore right now, just because of the wind direction. And it's like I don't understand why people need to come between us and shore.
It's really close.
It's
anyway.
like there's no reason for that at all.
Anyway, so I go down to find Pickles and use the bathroom and check on everything, and I have to move a ton of stuff to get to the bathroom. I gotta go really bad, and so I'm trying to frantically move all the cushions and everything else that have kind of flying. And I'm like, "Where's the cat? I can't find the cat. Did the cat go in the quarter berth?" And I'm looking around. I'm like, "Puss!" I'm trying to find him, and all of a sudden I hear, "Meow, meow." And the drawer was propped like this, the floor's like this, the drawer's like this, and there's a space about that big between the bottom of the drawer and the floor. And the cat had wedged himself in that spot to like, he's like, "This looks like a good protected spot underneath this heavy drawer. I'm gonna go underneath there." And he comes up and he looks like he's been through, 5 months on the boat by himself. He's like, "Meow, meow." He's like rocking around. I'm like, "Buddy, I'm so sorry. Are you okay?" But what are you gonna do? I mean, he's down there. He's a resourceful cat, but we hadn't been able to go down and really attend to him, and that was the safest place for him. So yeah. And there was a point after the first storm where I felt really badly. I'd been down there getting, even if we had had lee class, I would have been honestly going over the lee class. And I came up and I just started crying, and I was shaking. My hands were shaking like crazy. And you were saying when you were at the wheel, your hands were shaking like crazy.
I got so cold. that first storm, the wind and the rain were so cold that came in. We were warm all day, so I was like used to like 80 degrees, and all of a sudden it was like 68, 67, and it was just cold wind and rain coming in on me. That temperature differential, I was literally just like, my hand was like, I couldn't And I was just sitting there, and I'm like, there's nothing. I just got to sit here and fucking take it. And oh my God, I was so miserable. And then after, after it got done, and I got this big fucking balloon around my neck, and it's like she brought out change of clothes for me.
And a towel.
And I slid over because we're still getting tossed, and she takes the helm and or put it on autopilot or something. Yeah, and Keith asked a question about the autopilot. Sorry, Keith. I'll get to it in a second. Yeah, and I just changed clothes and put on another life jacket that I had.
One of those big orange Coast Guard jackets.
Yeah, like the Coast Guard, like working boat jackets. Hey,
it worked.
It was there.
That's why we have them.
So I don't know if it was any less weird than having that balloon around my neck, but yeah. So I finally got a chance to warm up. The seat cushions are still wet.
Yeah, we're still trying to dry everything
from all
out.
of that. Yeah. So Keith, if you're still on, sorry, your question was
something about the autopilot.
Autopilot. No, I did not have it on during the storm. That definitely could not have handled that.
No.
Shortly after things calmed down, it was still sporty. It did handle it fine.
They have the same one. They have the CPT, right? Yeah.
It's finicky on me the beginning of the trip, but once you dial it in and you don't have any magnetic interference around it, solid system. There was one time I had to reach down and reposition the where the cog is. You know how you can undo the lever and that does the tension on the belt. The tension on the belt was getting loose. So I reached down, put more tension on the belt and snapped it back into place. And didn't have a problem with it. That was the only time the autopilot had given us any trouble. But during that second storm when we were coming in, the autopilot brought us in almost all the way, and we were in pretty rough seas. So it handled the rough seas really well, but we were still, again, those were 6 to 8 footers, only having the occasional one, larger one blast us. But yeah, so I mean, in a storm situation, like it's just general, like you're having a squall, and especially when you're running, or on a reach. She was, and I thought again, I will swear by that autopilot system.
Yeah, that second storm that lasted for like 12 hours, that was a godsend for that. Because once we got through the initial period of time where we had to keep course correcting because we had the swirling, death loss, swirling of stuff, plus this wall of water coming at us from the other direction. And we're trying to make our way, out of it. Once we got a little bit past that and it got darker and we were just like, we're just on a run. We're on a run as fast as we can to get to shore. And we know we're going this direction. We just set a course and stayed on it. And once we got about 3 or 4 hours out, maybe 3 or 4 hours out, I set a course on Navionics for Fernandina specifically, and we honed in on that. And we were able to, I don't want to say relax, but it was less intense because we weren't hand steering the entire time. We were just keeping an eye on it and making sure it stayed on track. All the little boats. They have these little tourist catamarans that speedboat around us, and they're always just like, ooh, there's people on their boat. It's interesting being a tourist attraction.
It's a sporty day to be out on those.
It's a
fucking
very
things.
sporty day to be out. They're bouncing on the waves like skidoos do. It's interesting. See, Dean says
about half of them are just like, fuck this, they're peeling off. They're going back to the marina.
Oh, Dean was sending us additional information on the stock ASTS. Yeah, we're going to look that all up for sure.
Oh man, we've been on
for coming up on 2 hours. We knew this was going to be a long one.
We got to cut this.
Yeah,
but,
we appreciate people hanging out with us as long as you did, and I'm sure we've got some people in the background.
Kaz. We didn't say hi to Kaz.
Hi, Kaz.
She subscribed, so appreciate you, Kaz.
I am going to try to make a bunch of the jams.
Yeah, me too. We're going to try to drag, I want to drag Brad O'Brien down too. Like he's never been, I think he would enjoy the fuck out of that jam.
Well, especially since he just started playing ukulele. And now that's like kind of a new thing. And there's a lot of people there doing that. And he wants to like sing and stuff. And I mean, it's fun if you want to go play and sing. I enjoy the hell out of that. The vibe is just so cool. So yeah. So we're talking about the jam at 2 Feet Brewing in Bangor, and Kaz runs that, and there's just like Ann said, the nicest group of people, and I had so much fun that night I came, and you didn't play that night, but I did. I jumped up with him, and
I enjoy playing there, but you know what I enjoy more is just listening to
absolutely
these people, and some of these people are, really good. Gordon Fellis, the bass player. Really good bass player. Kaz and George and those guys. There's a lot of really good players there. And there's also some people who are learning and they're brand new. Or maybe not even learning. Maybe they just all they do is play in their home and it's their hobby. But it's fun to hear what they have to say and what they have to share. And there's like this whole snobbery, that I guess I used to have, but I'm so glad I don't now because I missed out on so much good music and so many good experiences. And I don't know, I dig it. I really dig it. I dig the, listening to the person that, has been playing for, 3 months, or listening to the person that just is a basement player and then and play right along with the people that have been doing it for years, and it's all just it's all about celebrating music, and that's really what I'm into and what it should be about.
It's super common for us to be in a setting and somebody's dinging out an instrument and doing something, whatever it is, and for people to be like, oh, you guys are professionals and you're probably gonna laugh, and I'm like, that's just not who we are. Music is this amazing thing that brings people together, and no two people are at the same level of experience and longevity in playing or what they're into. Everybody's a little different in their tastes and their take on things. And it's fascinating and wonderful to hear different people's reiterations of what they're doing and to share in that moment of joy, no matter what level anybody is at. And that's something we both feel really strongly about. And, and then you have these moments where people just blow you away, either from talent or from intensity or the joy or their emotional connection to what they're playing or the history of the instrument. I think about when we went on Cottywomple. I don't know if you guys are still on, but
dulcimer,
my God.
It's like,
you're like, I think you brought your guitar over that night, or maybe it was the ukulele.
Uke or something.
But and they're like, well, hang on, let me get my dulcimer. And we're like, well, okay.
Oh yeah.
Now it's getting real.
What a treat, dude. Friggin' hammer dulcimer. Yeah. And nobody manufactures dulcimers. Everybody makes dulcimers. I don't even think I don't even know if you can buy a dulcimer unless it's in a kit form.
Or somebody made it in their garage.
All right, we got to get going. Last few comments.
Yeah, I was going to say, we have some people that are chiming in. Robin said, I'm just so glad. Oh, you guys are still on.
You're still listening to us? Oh, my God.
You must like us. It's like Sally Field. You like us. You really like us. I'm just so glad both of you are all right. Take care and be safe for the rest of your journey. Love you guys. We'll see you in Maine. Sounds wonderful. Bill Davis is still on. Hey, Bill.
Oh, my God, you guys.
Oh, we're so boring. I can't believe you listened to the whole thing.
Must be a slow Sunday.
So it's Mother's Day. They all have things to do.
Oh, it's Mother's Day. Yeah.
So glad that you're safe and not too much damage. Keep us posted on when you head back out and when you're expected to get here. Hope we still have time to get together once you're here. Bill, we've got to be there for at least a few days before we go to Maine because we got to get the boat ready for a Cat 1 before we leave it on the slip.
We're going to be, but when we come back, we'll be spending some time with you.
Yeah, we won't be as much in a rush at all.
Yeah.
But we should be able to at least get together for a meal.
God, yeah.
Yeah. Becky said it was great to see you both and chat. So hopefully God keeping you all safe. Poor Pickles. Both of you, such scary experiences. Better days coming. Love you and miss you both. And Christina sent us a heart. And we're just really grateful that you guys support us and want to hear what's going on with us. One thing that we didn't actually, I don't know if you specifically said, after this experience, we could do a 2-day run up to North Carolina. We're choosing not to do that.
It'll be like almost a 3-day run. I'm planning out day sails. We're still going on the outside. But if we're still dealing with these storms like we are right now, I don't want to get surprised. And the other thing is I'm staying within, so I can dip in and check the satellite.
Probably within
situation.
like 15 miles or so.
Yeah, I'll stay with 10, 15 miles for sure. I hate that, but I want information, and I want to know shit as it's developing, and you might convince me to, to take an overnight if we're sitting there looking and everything's going great and the satellite imagery is like, yeah, there's no storms coming. All right, fine. As long as I have all that information on my fingertips.
And we're a little closer to shore, so if we have to go towards shore, we can.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we just, it's not that we couldn't do it. It's just, we don't want to. After all that, we just don't want we don't want to make the whole rest of this trip.
And I don't, I don't want to be, sound like a pussy, but I don't want to take, I want some sort of more predictable satellite weather situation than we have right now. More detailed, more graphically driven, because that's what I understand better. And I know those systems exist and they're possible, so I want them before we do a big offshore
multi-day thing.
Yeah. 10 miles offshore isn't offshore for us. That's coastal cruising. Yeah. I don't know what you guys consider. But like,
when we're offshore, it's more like 40 50.
That's, it says we're live. Okay. Oh,
did it just say that suddenly?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
All right, we got to go.
Becky asked when we're going to be in Maine. So we need to be there the last week of May as Galen gets ready for rehearsals for Rocky Horror at Penobscot Theater, which will be a month-long run between June 12th and July 13th. And then we'll be in Maine for a little bit after that, doing a couple of gigs. Might do a little bit of traveling around that region. And we'll probably be heading back to North Carolina, I'm guessing somewhere between mid-August and late August. So that's the rough schedule. And we'll be having some more dates. I'm working on dates right now. So as soon as we get some of that stuff organized, we'll make sure everybody knows what our dates are for gigs. But yeah, so Becky, we'll be in Maine for a couple of months. And Galen will have a lot of shows at Penobscot Theater in the evenings, but more time during the day.
Just a sweet transvestite. Transsexual. Transylvania.
So that's the music he's working on. And thank you everybody for being so awesome. I hope you're good.
Oh, I was good a while ago.
Oh, okay, cool. Have a wonderful Mother's Day. Love you all.
All right, thank you
Talk
guys
to you
for coming
next
on.
week, if not sooner.